Hi, welcome to Rock and Metal Invasion. My name is Steve. On today's episode, I'm going to be reviewing the latest Def Leppard album, Diamond Star Halos, and also doing a Rank the Albums top 5 album ranking for Def Leppard. Right, but first of all, let's get into their latest album. So, I haven't got a physical copy of it, and to be honest with you, probably won't have a physical copy of it, but I have heard it, given a few good listens, and I wouldn't say I'm disappointed because I didn't expect a lot, but it's definitely not going back to those albums in the 80s where they were definitely, without a doubt, a hard rock band. This is more pop rock. It's not heavy. It's well produced. It's very commercial. I understand that that's where they're at right now, but probably not really my kind of thing. At the same time, you know, when you hear that Def Leppard are releasing an album, it's a big deal. You know, they don't release albums regularly. In fact, this is their first new album in 7 years. And in fact, they seem to be getting into a habit of releasing an album every 7 years at the moment. They had Sparkle Lounge in 2008, and then Def Leppard in 2015. And Def Leppard in 2015 had like 3 or 4 songs I quite liked. And so I was intrigued by what was going to be on this album. It's got 15 songs, which again kind of surprised me that they put out an album with so many tracks on it. But yeah, unfortunately there's a lot of slower songs on it. It's more of a glam rock type album. I mean, I sure that's the influence, glam rock, but it's not even really hard rock most of the time. There's quite a few ballads. Alison Cross, I think that's how you say her name. She is on a song called, well, I think she might be on 3 songs, but she's on the song This Guitar, and I was playing the album and my wife heard that song, and you know, she's not a big heavy metal fan, or hard rock fan, but she doesn't mind, you know, listening to some of the music that I'm playing sometimes. But country music is a big no-no, and she heard that and it was like, what is that? Turn that off, you know, or go to the next song. It's like, yeah, so even she didn't like that, and yeah, I didn't particularly, I wasn't particularly enjoying it. I got to be honest with you, country and hard rock mixing together. I mean, they've done it before with Tim McGraw on 9 Lives. That didn't do much for me either. I mean, look, Alison Cross, she has a song on the Twister soundtrack, Moments Like These, which I really love. I mean, it's a great song, but that's when she's doing her thing. When you have her and Def Leppard together, it's just, for me, it's not a good idea. It's a shame they can't team up with someone, you know, like, that actually is a hard rock or metal person, so they can actually get something a bit heavier going on, you know. But yeah, it's so let's just go through, I guess, what I liked, and that won't take long. But basically, the first song I didn't mind. Take What You Want. You know, again, this is not a heavy album. It's not super heavy, but it's got a bit of a signature Def Leppard sound that you could almost imagine this song being on Hysteria or Adrenalize, and I quite liked it. After that, it's difficult. I was trying to find songs I liked. SOS Emergency, yeah, but then after a few plays, I'm not interested particularly. Unbreakable, maybe. Again, I thought, yeah, maybe it's kind of okay, I suppose. But you know, that's after the first song, that's 2 out of the next 14 songs, and there's a lot of slow stuff in there. You know, when they supposedly rock, they're not really rocking. It's just a bit more upbeat, and I'm just not hearing the heavy guitars. So again, you know, I wasn't expecting much, and maybe this is what to expect from Def Leppard. I know that they've got heavy sort of, Joe Elliott especially really loves the 70s glam rock, and it's just really filtering in through now a lot more into their sound. So Unfortunately, it's not another Pyromania, but you know, worth checking out. Like I said, it's a big deal. Def Leppard don't put out a lot of albums. They were huge in the 80s. So I'm still curious when they put out an album to check it out. And like I said, Take What You Want is a good song, and I'll probably enjoy playing that a bit more. But yeah, like I say, apart from that, there's not too much there to be positive about. But there are some things to be positive about when it comes to Def Leppard, and that is their discography, or at least the albums that they put out in the 80s and maybe even early 90s. So I'm gonna give you my top five. Now, before I give you my top five, I did just want to say that since Slang, they've been a bit patchy, but I still check out their albums, and that's because sometimes there's some good songs, on their albums. They're a little bit like Bon Jovi, who, after Keep the Faith, I'm still checking out their albums because sometimes there's one, maybe two songs on the album that I quite like. And Def Leppard's a little bit like that as well. So I'm not going to go through each album that came out post Adrenalized, but I will say, or even post Slang, but I will say, yes, since Slang's come out, they've had a song called Go from Sparkle Lounge, which is great. That's one of their heavier songs. And that opens up that album, and you're starting to think this is going to be a kick-ass album. It wasn't particularly, but that song's great. Go, Let It Go is a good song, and Let's Go. I don't know, what it is with having Go in the title, but it usually makes for a good Def Leppard song. So there's that. Those songs I like. They're more some of those anyway are more recent ones. Promises. That was from Euphoria. It's the first single. I quite like that one. Paper Sun and Day After Day, also from Euphoria. That's a good song. And Dangerous from Def Leppard. That was a good song. And that's looking at my playlist of Def Leppard songs that have come out since Slang. There's not a lot else that I kind of have up there. But anyway, I just wanted to go through some of those because I just wanted to, I guess, mention the fact that there is still some good Def Leppard songs that do have come out. But my top five is pretty much Slang. Everything from Slang back. What order it is what you're about to find out. Pretty much. Now, their debut didn't make the top five. It's just never really got into it that much. Not saying it's a bad album. It's better than a lot of the albums they've put out recently. But, so not their debut is not going to make the top five, but what is... Oh, and actually, just before I get into my top five, I just want to mention this one. This is worth picking up, especially if, like I said before, there's a few songs that you've heard, but maybe the rest of the album isn't that great. But there's a few songs on each album that you like. This is really good because it's got some of the better songs from the albums that they have released since Slang, including Slang. So it's got the title track Slang. I like that one. It's got Work It Out, which is a great song. It's got Dangerous. And it's got Let's Go. So it's got some of my sort of favourite tracks from their recent albums, some of their more recent albums anyway. So that's, that's, just say what that one is. That's the story so far, the best of Volume 2. Now there's a Volume 1 as well, but Volume 1 is more of their sort of 80s stuff. And I didn't really need that because I've got all their albums, all the 80s and 80s albums on record, and I want the whole album. So, all right. So number five, ranking the albums, Def Leppard. Number 5 is Adrenalize. To be honest with you, this was a little bit disappointing. Because it was the follow-up to Hysteria, and I just thought that maybe they were running out of ideas a little bit, especially when I noticed that, for me, probably the best song is Tear It Down, and that is track 10, and that was a B-side from Hysteria. So they remade it, redid it again. It sounds pretty much the same, and put it on this album. And I really like that song. That's one of the best songs on the album. I didn't really like the singles. I mean, Let's Get Rocked is very repetitious. Make Love Like a Man. I just the lyric. I mean, I'm pretty easygoing about lyrics, but it's not good. So there's actually not a lot of standout tracks, but on the whole, I can listen to the album and kind of, and enjoy parts of it. But yeah, it's top five. It's made the top five only because, for me, none of the other albums are quite as good. But this is just an okay album for me. A little bit better than okay, and that's why it's at number 4, is Slang. So this one came out after Adrenalize. I mean, I'm not going to count Retroactive. That has some good songs on it, but it's a bit of a compilation of leftover tracks. I like the title track. My favorite is Work It Out. It's an awesome song. And All I Want Is Everything. It's a slower song, but I don't mind it. And there's a few other good ones. It's interesting. They're kind of trying to move into the alternative, move into a bit of an alternative sound at times, alternative rock, I guess. I wouldn't call it. It's not a grunge album, but obviously coming out in 1996, grunge was starting to fade away a little bit, but certainly alternative rock was still quite popular, I guess. And certainly 80s hard rock, hair metal was not in at all. So it was a good compromise, I think, between how they used to sound and what was the sort of happening sound of the time. I mean, the fact that they've got a song like Slang, which maybe is a bit of a sort of an attempt to create another Pour Some Sugar on Me. But the fact that they were willing to put out a song like that, I thought was good. So they didn't totally abandon their sort of 80s sound. But yeah, I quite enjoyed playing it, but yeah, not great. Now pretty much everything else now is great. Very good to great. Number 3, High and Dry. Just a really consistent album. You can put this on. It rocks. Just Bring On the Heartbreak. Is one of their more well-known songs, but I really like Let It Go. I mentioned that one before. It's one of my sort of favourite songs that has Go in it. It's just good UK hard rock. It's commercial to a degree, but hasn't got too commercial, and I think that became a bit of a problem for people who like Def Leppard. Maybe less so with Pyromania, but definitely once they got into Hysteria. So this is a good album. All right, so that was number 3. So number 2, it's pretty easy decision for me. Although I do like this album, and like I say, some people don't like it because it was with this album that they started to sound a lot more commercial, more polished, definitely. This is Hysteria. I mean, so many singles off this album. Some good songs too. I mean, for me, Woman, Rocket, Armageddon, great songs. I actually like Don't Shoot Shotgun as well. Although I do find that most of the good songs are on side 1. Side 2, it starts to fade away a little bit. And of course, there were some good songs that didn't even make the album, didn't make the cut. And you can find those as either B-sides or on the Retroactive album. But yeah, great production. Maybe too great in a way, like it's just too polished. But just of course the backing vocals and the harmonizing and everything. It sounds amazing. But of course some people don't like it because of that sound. I love the artwork, and this was the first Def Leppard album I ever heard as well, so that always makes it a little bit more special. And I remember hearing the first single, Animal, and thinking, that's a strange choice for first single. And it wasn't like a super big hit for them, but then of course Pour Some Sugar on Me really, that was a massive one for them, and it took off from there. And that's an interesting song because it's kind of got like the way he's singing it with that sort of, it's almost like a rap, isn't it? So that was quite different. Yeah, and I thought that was a cool song. All right, so obviously number one is Pyromania. It's really just that nice mix of what you get on High and Dry and what you get with Hysteria. It's that nice little mix of those two sounds and awesome songs. I mean, Photograph, Too Late for Love, Fallen, Buddy's Got a Gun, Rock of Ages. I mean, but the whole album, I just put it on. It's like, yeah, just like there's no tracks I want to skip. Enjoy the whole thing. They're just on top of their game, I think, for this album. Of course, this album they had Steve Clark. I think he is maybe he's more of an influence on their sound than we know, because obviously since he's passed, they really haven't sounded the same. So who knows? But yeah, great album. It was a big seller for them as well, of course. Of course, you can't not mention Mount Lang, such an influential songwriter and producer, I think, that would have had, I'm sure he had a lot to do with their success also. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed my little review and my top 5 ranking of Def Leppard. All right, I'll catch you later. See ya.